The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Bellevue, Washington, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31975. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start at the front bumper. Just underneath the front bumper, you'll find two open-ended tow hooks. Moving up from that location onto the passenger side is where you'll find your large diameter front intake. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find dual siren speakers. Moving to the right in this image, you'll find dual air horns located over the driver's area. Located up on the top of the bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. And on the side of those bumper extensions is where you'll find emergency warning lights. Moving further up, you'll find your headlight cluster, low beam and high beam. High beam is on the inside, low is on the exterior. You'll also find an emergency warning light cluster, in addition with a grab handle located directly in the center over the Pierce logo. You do have windshield wipers. There are two located in the very front. As we move up to the brow of the apparatus is where you'll find your 5 running lights, amber in color. And then as we look to the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up onto the top of the apparatus cab, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. And located over the driver's seat is where you'll find your Opticom. Let's take a look at some close-ups of those items that we just talked about. First, starting with the bumper extension, where you'll find your front intake. Moving just to the right is where you'll find also a tubbed storage location for hose. And then we'll move up to the headlight cluster on the front, where you'll find your low and high beams and also a turn indicator and a marker light for the side. Overhead, you'll find your emergency warning light, and also you'll notice the Opticom separately from the light bar. Located in the very side of the apparatus, this is the driver's side, you'll find your auto charge system. That's when you're plugged into shore power. You also have an emergency warning light on the side. Located also are your shore power auto ejects. This is a 20 amp auto eject, and then to the right you'll find an auto eject for your engine heater. As we move back to the rear section of the cab, you'll find an extension where you have additional storage locations underneath the rear cab seat area. Let's take a general look at the pump panel area, and we'll now move to some of the items within the pump panel. Let's first start in the upper left hand corner in the gray section. This is your engine information. Moving to the right, you'll find your pump intake, and then further to the right, the large gauge, you'll find your pump discharge. This panel is able to be accessed to the rear section by simply releasing the two latches above. On your engine information in the gray in the upper left, you'll find your PSI oil pressure, water gauge. You'll also find volts and also fuel. You do have two amber lights, first a check engine and then also a check transmission. Those are amber if lit. And you do have a stop engine, which would be red if lit. Let's move down to the next section. This is going to be your foam module in red. This is what controls your foam system. To the right, you'll find your foam level. This is the indicator for the tank. And then further to the right, you'll find your pump overheat indicator, and this is automatic. The next section down, we'll find two round speakers. These are adjustable. Simply turn the outer edge for dampening the sound volume. Let's move further to the right where we'll find our pump boss. This is going to be your throttle pressure governor. In the upper section, you'll find the check engine. It's a red light if indicated. You'll find your RPMs, and then to the right, you'll find a stop engine that will be in red. Moving further to the right, you'll find your water level indicator. As we move further to the upper right-hand corner, you're going to find your vacuum and pressure test ports. And then just beneath that, you'll find your engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. And then down lower from that, a little blurred out, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line. Let's move further down just under the tank fill. You'll find first this pump engaged. It's an indicator indicating green that your pump is properly engaged.
You do have panel light switch above that, and then beneath that you'll find your air horn, which is a red indicator switch, and then you'll find your driver's side flood, booster, rewind, and then crosslay lights. In the upper right hand corner you'll find your air prime, and then just beneath that you'll find priming instructions for enhanced priming and best performances. Run your engine at 1000 RPMs while priming. In the upper left on the discharges, you're going to find your monitor. This is for your deck gun on the top. And then we'll talk a little bit about this placard here. This is your manufactured by Pierce. These are your pump test pressures. And then at the very bottom, we'll also find your large diameter pump intake. To the right, you'll find your manual pump shift. And then beneath that, you will find your tank to pump. In is open and out is closed. And then down at the very bottom, you'll find this warning placard. This is for foam failure and not to mix different types of foam products in your tanks. All the way from left to right, you'll find numbers 1 through 4 discharge gauges. Moving down to the next section, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. This is the black placard. And then to the right, you'll find your wattress placard. This is going to be the indication or information regarding what type of pump you have. We also have some warning labels here. Let's cover those. First at the very top, only trained personnel should operate this personnel. When removing caps, be cautious. There is a possibility of pressurized caps and associated hazards while removing those. In the upper right, you'll find your schematic for your Husky foam system. And then to the right, because of those hoses coming off the side, there is an entanglement warning. Let's take a look down on the lower left-hand side. This is going to be your large diameter discharge. This is on the passenger side. And then you'll also find an electronic valve here for your front inlet. You'll also find the black placard here, once again, your minimum operation maintenance schedule. You'll find all the associated discharge drains. In the right-hand side, you'll find your auxiliary foam functions for foam inlet, strainer, and tank drains. And then you'll also find a flush valve. This is a twist, not a pull. Let's go back to that placard first for 150, 200, and 250 test pressures. You can see the associated GPMs and also the RPMs for your test pressure. In red, you'll find the wattress placard. This is the pump transmission, date of manufacture, and also capacity. As we move to the compartment down at the very bottom, you'll find this is your foam lever handle for horizontal foam operations and fill operations. It's the yellow handle just inside this compartment. Underneath the pump panel, you'll find your open and close for your master drain. You'll also find foam pump intake drain and foam pump discharge drain. Moving slightly to the right, you'll also find your tank drain. And then further to the right, this is going to be your tank drains for your air system, for your brakes. Let's move up to the very upper left-hand corner. You'll find 2 locations here for your crosslays. As we move above that, you'll find a closed hatch and also LED lighting. Moving up onto the top into the dunnage area is where you'll find your booster line. As we take a closer look at the booster line, you do have access panels from the driver's side. And as we move up onto the top, you'll find your tensioning here for when the spool spools out. And then at the very top, difficult to see in this picture, you'll find the manual rewind. Let's take a look in the center of the dunnage areas where you'll find your master stream device and also your hydraulic oil reservoir. We'll cover those next. First, your hydraulic oil reservoir. There's a fill cap on the top. On the side, difficult to see in this image, there is a sight gauge. As we look to the cab area of your apparatus, you'll find a few warning labels here regarding walking on this area. Read the caution label here, or warning label. On the base of the master stream, you'll find a button for your reel rewind, and then you'll also find a open and close for your master stream device. Also located in the dunnage area, you'll find your tank fill for foam tank A, and then also your water fill for your water tank. As we look to the rear of the apparatus, your hose bed is covered. There is safety diamonds providing for safety for people that are operating up on the roof area. There are 2 latches here to release the hose bed, and then there's also a grab handle here to allow it to move to the open position. Let's move to the side of the apparatus, the first compartment here. This is going to be your left side number 3 compartment. In the upper section of this compartment is where you'll find your battery charger. This is when plugged into shore power, this will activate. And then to the right of that, you'll find your air compressor. This is your onboard air compressor. Down beneath that, you'll find also communications for your push-to-talk for your main two-way radio. And then as we move further to the right from this location, you can see that you have your phone-style communication device. What I wanted to point out was down at the next section here is the air shut-off and air outlet. As we move to the outside, you'll find SCBA bottle storage locations here. And then as we move to that center compartment, I just want to point out your compartments are air recirculating. This is your tube to allow air to recirculate throughout the cab of all of your exterior compartments. Let's move outside. You'll find additional bottle storage. Once again, this is still on the driver's side. And then next to this compartment is where you'll find your DEF and also your diesel fuel. Silver cap is your diesel. Blue cap is your DEF. Let's move now to the next compartment to the rear. This would be the left side number 1 compartment. You have adjustable shelving and LED lighting in addition with that recirculating system. Quick side look here, you'll find at the back of the cab, you'll find on the passenger and driver side your telescoping floodlights. You'll also find your V channel for your rigid corrugated drafting tubes on the passenger and driver side. Then you'll also find a red and also yellow or amber colored warning light at the top. On the very back, you'll find your brake, turn, reverse, and also an emergency light on the right and left side. You'll also find a switch, cupped switch here, which will allow you to access your rear scene lights. At the very top, you'll find your backup camera. And then as we move to the inside of this location, you'll find a discharge. Located directly in the center, you'll find your third brake light. Let's talk a little bit about some of the grab handles here. You can see you have sufficient grab handles to go aloft. There are also 3 fold-down steps on the driver's side, and then on the passenger side, there is also an additional fold-down step. At the very top, you'll find your scene lights to the rear. This is the V channel here for your corrugated drafting tube. And as we mentioned earlier, your rear scene lights, this is the control switch for that. Moving directly above this location is where you'll find your backup camera. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the hose bed area. It is subdivided. In the lower section, you can see you have speed lays. Appears to be 3 in this location here. Above that, you also have grab handles on your movable dividers. As we move to the very bottom section, you have a roll-up door, but I would like to point out some of those warning labels. Pressurized cap here. So there is a pressurized warning label here. Don't ride on the side of your apparatus, and also watch out for that entanglement of hose. Those are the warning labels. And then of course, not riding on the back of the apparatus while it's in motion. There is a fall hazard. As we move inside the compartment with the roll-up door in the open position, this is a pull-out shelf. You'll find at the very bottom, this tray has a release mechanism for pulling it out and restoring it back to its position. In the very back, you'll find additional storage compartment. Up from this location, you'll find your 24-foot and 14-foot roof ladder, and then you'll also find long tool storage above that. This is going to be your backboard storage on the left-hand side. As we move to the passenger side, we'll talk about the RS1, which is the right side 1 compartment here. You can see adjustable shelving and also LED lighting, in addition with that ventilation system. Moving to the right side, just behind the rear wheel, you'll find bottle storage location. As we move to the center compartment, you'll find mounting ability for all of your different types of tools. And then as we move forward of the front wheel, you'll find a marker light and also a bottle storage location. There is a warning label just beneath about extremely hot diesel exhaust, and be cautious as to where you park. As we move forward to the next compartment, you'll find adjustable shelving, once again LED lighting, and then in this compartment you'll find a portable light. Let's move to the pump panel area. This is going to be on the passenger side. First we'll find an access panel, then we'll find your large diameter intake. As we move further to the right, in the center, you'll find your large diameter discharge. This is the green colored discharge. And as we move further to the right, you'll find two 2.5-inch discharges. And then above that, you're going to find some switches here, and I have a close-up of those to make it a little easier so you can identify what those are. Moving down to the very bottom, you're going to find discharge drains. And then as we move further forward, you'll find this pan door, which has access behind the pump panel. You'll find, once again, those warning labels, which we've previously discussed, and then also your cab lift module. Let's take a look at the first upper compartment. This is the one that gains access behind the pump panel. And then also the one just beneath this is where you're going to find your pressure relief valve for your large diameter intake. Moving further down, you'll find all of your discharge drains. Moving to the right, you'll find your large diameter discharge. You're also going to find a booster rewind, an air horn, and also that side light for your side passenger floodlight. Just underneath this location, this is the section for your cab lift. There are instructions here. There's also some danger and caution. Please read those prior to operation. When using your manual override, use this switch to cut off power from the valve. That was the switch on the left. And then this is your high pressure override valve. Up in the very top, you'll find grab handles and also additional fold-down steps. As we move to the cab rear section, you'll find an upper section for an LED warning light and then also your pole extension lights. Moving back, same as the opposite side on the cab, you have this additional compartment. And as we move inside to the inside of the driver's section, let's first start at all points of entry of all doors. For personnel, you'll find this warning label. You'll also find door lights which illuminate when the door is in the open position, and then also safety reflective tape. As we move inside, just underneath the cab seat, you'll find your voltage indicator. This is a push button here with an adjustable speaker. You can see turning right and left, you'll gain or increase the volume level. As we move just inside the cab, you'll find this manufactured for the city of Bellevue. This is your manufacturing placard, has your job number. It also has your VIN number, gross vehicle weight ratings, and also your fluid capacities for your components, fluid capacities, and fluid types. You'll also find an additional label here in the black. This is information here regarding your warranty information. As we move inside the cab at the floor level, you'll find your battery switch in red. This is the master on-off switch. Moving up from that location, you'll find a push and hold emergency parking brake release. And then as we move further to the right, you'll find your pump shift, which we'll go over next. First, let's cover the battery switch. Quarter turn, battery switch turns the batteries on for your apparatus. As we move just up from this location, you'll find your pump shift. There are two green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. Clear instructions on from road to pump or from pump to road. You'll need two of those indicators prior to engaging your pump before exiting the cab. On the left, you'll find your ignition, start, fan clutch, mirror heat, and also a cab lock, downs not engaged. That's indicating that your cab is not properly seated. On the right-hand side, you're going to find all of your SRS and transmission diagnostics, and also engine and ABS diagnostic ports. You'll also find your DPF regen switch, and also a vehicle data recorder. This is the port for that. As we look to the dash, just a quick view of the column and also the panel. Let's look to the left side where you'll find your oil, water, transmission, and volts, and also your tachometer. You also have additional information that will display in the center section. Moving to the right, you'll find your speedometer, your fuel gauge, your DEF level, front and rear air, and then also you have a tire pressure indicator. Over the head of the operator, you'll find your yellow placard, which is the height 10 feet 0 inches, your length 30 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating at 48,500 pounds. It also has your job number. Overhead, just to the right of that, you're going to find in red, this is a switch for your emergency master. To the right, you'll find your roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When these switches are engaged, they will illuminate, indicating that they have been activated. To the right of that, you're going to find a high beam flash for your emergency lights, Opticom, siren brake, siren horn selector, a load manager, and then your load manager indicator. That's on the far right-hand side. Moving further to the right, once again overhead of the operator, you'll find your traffic advisor. We didn't mention that, but that's on the back of your hose bed. And then in the center, you'll find your defense zone. This is your backup camera monitor. To the right, up in the center area, you'll find your seatbelt monitoring. This is going to be red indicating someone is in the seat and not buckled, green indicating they're in the seat and buckled. Then you also have an exterior air temp, a little cold today at 37 degrees. And you also have a do not move your apparatus. That is the red puck style light located in the center of the cab. General view here of your center section. To the right of the driver position, you'll find your front wheel lock push button. And then to the right, you'll find your pull to apply system parking brake and push to release. That is the yellow. They're both protected. Located beneath that, you're going to find the front wheel lock. This is the instructions on that. And then you'll also find your Allison transmission pad, and you'll see a note here, pump in drive. In the upper left-hand corner of this set of switches, let's start with your headlight switch. You have a panel switch, which is for brightening and dimming, wipers, wiper control, and also washer at the very top, differential lock on and off, and your differential lock activated indicator. The next section down, we'll find your engine brake on and off switch, settings for low, medium, and high for that engine brake. Activate your howler or cancel, your ATC disable, high idle, and your OK to engage the high idle. To the right, you'll find your siren control. Moving just down slightly to the right by the pull to apply your system parking brake, you'll find your radio push to talk button. This is for your two-way radio. You'll find an indicator for your supplemental restraint system fault. That's an indicator. To the right, you'll find your main mirror controls for right and left controls. Located in the center section, you'll find your climate control, heat, fan, and also defrost. Just above that, or slightly to the right, you'll find your perimeter lights, rear flood, passenger side flood, front flood, and also the passenger side flood. Once again, when they're activated, you can see in this perimeter lights, it's lit, the switch is on. Down from this location, you'll find your window controls for your passenger side window, driver side cab windows, and passenger side cab windows. You also have future switches potentially to the right of those. As we look to the rear section, you'll find your two seats located in the rear. I've got additional pictures here overhead. This is going to show your air horns, push on and off red and white lights, and also your speakers. As we look to the rear section, this is going to be the driver's side rear section of the cab. You'll find you have additional storage locations on the left and right side. These compartments have webbing and also compartment lights. Let's look overhead in this section. You'll find all the way across the center section, you have additional storage locations. Inside, you do have LED lighting on the far right-hand side, which would be the officer side in the rear section. You'll find 12-volt access, and also when you're plugged into shore power, the outlet will activate also. Let's look underneath the rear seats in the rear of the cab. There is additional storage access from both right and left side, and also the center area. You do have 12-volt barrel style access here. Underneath or inside this compartment, you'll also find shoreline access. As we look forward, you'll find the location for your work lights. And as we look to the very center, you'll find an access door. This is for accessing your daily checks for oil and transmission. Located behind the driver's seat, you'll also find your speaker for your radio system. And also behind the driver's seat, you'll find additional netting here for storage and also shore power outlets. Let's move now to the driver's seat. First, let's start with you have a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. And so be cautious as to where you mount additional equipment. And also underneath that, this is an access panel for all your electronics. Just to the right of that panel, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wipers. And then above that, by the grab handle, is where you'll find your glove box. Underneath the officer seat, you'll find additional storage or radio storage. Let's move to the center section. This is the officer seat. Once again, to the left, you'll find your push to talk for your radio, a mechanical siren button, and also 2 barrel style 12-volt access points. Let's go ahead and go overhead in this same position. This is the passenger's side, officer seat. You'll find a speedometer. You'll also find what's currently housing the wires for your unit radio, and then also a AM/FM stereo on the far left-hand side. General view overhead of the apparatus, you'll find in the front cab area, push on and off red and white lights, and also your David Clark headset system. Congratulations, Bellevue, Washington, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31975. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any future questions, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.